That's why we have decided to say we want to have this forum. We want to have the people who are decision makers when it comes to financial decisions in this country.
All right.
Yes,
now, I also want to understand what gaps do you anticipate to fill the stakeholder involvement in the Botswana Institutional Investors Series?
Okay. The issue is that we want to bridge the gap between the available capital that we have as a nation, between government policies, the private sector, how the three can work hand in hand in order for us to invest in projects that can help the economy of our country.
All right, that's incredible. Now, we are talking about also BISS planning to support Botswana's efforts to diversify its economy through this event. Maybe we can talk about those, and maybe talking about those diversification. What are we talking about? You know that Botswana owns mostly on diamonds, which we've seen going down because of the lower sales in the diamond industry. But the country is also, as we are transforming the economy, or we are trying to diversify and capacitate other sectors. You can speak to that. How are we talking? How are you doing, and how are you diversifying the economy through this investment or this event?
What we are trying to do is focus beyond the mining industry, as you're saying.
Yeah.
We want to focus on renewable energy. We want to focus on agriculture. We want to focus on infrastructure. A typical example is when you go to Buan, there's a project here, the solar panel. It's an Israel project. So we are saying that we have the money in our country. And we are saying, let us use that money, have something that is bigger. Let's use the land that we have. Let's use the education that we have. Let's use the industries that we have. As well as with agriculture, we need to invest more so that we are a self-sufficient country. That is what we are saying, and that we want to bridge that gap. And we know with these sectors, we can diversify our economy.
All right, that's incredible. Also, we're talking about is BISS, I believe. Maybe you can get into the specific or investment strategies that will be discussed in the BISS to enhance infrastructure and promote industrialization.
Okay, the strategies that we have is infrastructure funds, blended financing, and pension fund private sector partnerships. That is what we are looking at. Yes, sir.
What is that? What are we talking about? In investment in all of those sectors that you've already mentioned. Are we giving them money? Are we capacitating them? Are we involving Botswana to get into this business? What is it that you're talking about?
We are mostly trying to say we want to involve Botswana. We want to also use Madi a Botswana, because know that pension funds have been used as a savings mostly. So we want to say that this money that we have as Botswana, we can use it to create jobs. We can use it to build infrastructure. That is what we are saying. Yes.
How does the BIS view the role of the public-private partnership in driving economic growth in this country?
Okay. Sorry, can you...
We're also talking about the partnership between the public-private partnership in driving economic growth. How do we view that?
Okay. What we are saying is we don't want an instance where we rely mostly on the government, or we say we rely mostly on the private sector. We are saying we want the government and private sector to come hand in hand, bridging that gap so that the risks and investments are shared accordingly as a nation, so that we work together to diversify our economy. Yes.
What would it take? There are different stakeholders under one roof to come and put this maybe in black and white, to have agreements, maybe to sign memorandum of understanding and all of those things that needs to be in black and white to understand. What kind of policy do we need to change? And who are we talking about? Are we talking about Parliament? Are we talking about the private? Who are involved in this whole conversation?
This conversation is mostly involving policymakers like NB-FIRA, and they can elaborate more when it comes to that, because they are the ones who can explain the regulations, they can explain the policies that we need to follow. We are coming just to bring a platform. I'm regulation but I said no, there's a gap that needs to be reached. So let me have a platform that the government can come in, the private sector can come in, and then they discuss these policies and see what they can do to benefit our economy and going forward as trying to diversify it.
We've seen the government calling more on the private sector to help, because most burden is within the government, and we are seeing government to help this. What can you say maybe to the private sector or to the investors who might even be willing to come and invest in the country in terms of diversify and creating employment, to be precise, in this country?
What I can say is there's potential in our country. The resources are there. I would like to say they should come hand in hand and help the government, because we are mostly relying on what the government can do. You can even see on social media every time we are experiencing floods. What is the government doing? But as from the private sector perspective, you also have that capital. What are you saying? Are you saying you can't invest and try and diversify our economy? What I'm saying is, come, let's have that conversation. Let's have that dialogue. Talk to the government. I have policies, I have this, I have the money, I can do this. Let's bridge in that gap. That's what I would say.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Eleonora, you mentioned something very profound, is agriculture and other sectors, because as we already established at this point, Botswana has been more reliant on diamonds, but we've seen where we are right now because of not diversifying the economy. Let's talk more about the agriculture, because we are seeing it's in a lot of value chain development within that, and also embracing of the new technology. This introduction where people embrace this new technology to diversify or even to grow the economy. For us to be self-sufficient rather than to buy other things from the other country. Speak to that.
What I can say is it is time. We need to see what to do as a nation. There's so much, like I'm saying, there's so much potential in our country. We should invest more. We know how they perform. Why are we not building more manufacturing plants? We should ask ourselves those questions. Like we mentioned, 152 billion in pension fund assets. 56% of that goes outside of the country. Do you know that? What about our country? Right now, our government is going outside to seek foreign investment when we have the capability and the capital to do that. Yes.
Right. We're talking about also industrialization, to encourage industrialization. Speak to that, because not as of now, the state now, things have changed right now. But growing up, we knew that there were a lot of industries within the country where we were so industrialized in this country. So we are encouraging that. Who should come on board?
Like we are saying, the private sector, especially also even the government, to listen to what we are bringing. And it's good that the Minister of Trade and Entrepreneurship is with us hand in hand with this event. But also, as I'm saying, Spedu and Pigwe, the industries, like there's a lot that we have in our country, but the only missing piece is the funds. You understand? That is the missing piece. We go to school, we study, we do everything so that we can better our education, but the funds are not there. We need them. Something needs to happen.
Something needs to happen. Speak to the issue of the event. Maybe you can take us through what will be happening, who will be facilitating during the event, and who would be under that one roof.
Okay, like I mentioned earlier on, we have our pension funds. We have both BPOPF, we have Alexander Forbes, we have asset managers like, what's that, Alloy Capital? Yes, sorry for that. Like those are the people who will be there. Like I mentioned also, the Ministry of Trade and Entrepreneurship will be there. They've endorsed and they'll be speaking. The permanent secretary to the ministry will be there, the keynote speaker.
All right. Yes. Now we are wrapping up this conversation. Maybe how does the current regulatory environment impact investment decision, and what advocacy efforts will the BIIS undertake to improve it?
What we are saying is, like I said, we are bringing a platform for these stakeholders, and it would be easier and explained by the regulatory, which is NBFIRA. This is what we want to see happening. This is the statistics and the research that we have as far as pension funds and asset managers are concerned, looking at the capital that they have. So I think with that question, they are best to
answer that.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Now let's talk to the young people who maybe want to start or to tap into this diversification of the economy, where they're coming up with businesses. How can they be helped? How can we make sure that at the end of the day, the businesses that are in this country are being capacitated?
With capacitating of businesses, as I would say, as the Minister of Entrepreneurship is there, we would have loved to also have the Minister of Youth, because you are mentioning youth, for them also to be there and understand their vision and what they have as planned, and where the private sector can bridge in the gap in terms of diversifying the economy and youth empowerment and job creation is concerned.
All right. What's the main objective at the end of the day of all of this, bringing all these heads within one room? What are we hoping to achieve at the end of the day? And maybe the main objective?
The main objective is how can we channel the capital that we have and take it to projects that can diversify our economy. How can we bridge the gap between government policies, between the private sector? How can we do that? We have the money. What can we do?
All right.
That is the conversation.
And that is how we come to the end of this conversation. Miracle, thank you so much for such insights.
Thank you, sir.
And that's how we come to the end of this conversation. Remember, I had in studio with me, Sales and Finance Administrator of MNCapital Botswana, Jacqueline Radikhukhu. Thank you for staying with us.
Children face many types of abuse under education, such as sexual. Many children living with disabilities face abuse at school, such as sexual harassment, physical harassment, and emotional abuse.